Welcome to Loleventvods. Watch the full game of today's First Stand 2025 matchup.
We are monsters, but we're getting in to Champion Select, powered by Omen and HyperX right now to see how it goes. KC gonna start off. They banned Peanuts Nidalee. Now, Vedius, I am a certified card-carrying member of the Nidalee Haters Club. I do not like this champion.
Understandably
Peanut
so.
is one of the few players who can actually change my mind on that. I understand this ban. Jason Yone, solo lanes being targeted here by KC. Meanwhile, on the other side, Skarner and Callista. This feels like just standard power picks being the bans for HLE.
Yeah, I mean, still respect, though, because there's a world where Viper could say, I'll play my Ashe into your Callista, but they're sitting there respecting Callista and his potential on the champion, so instead they will look to remove that. A lot potentially still open. Talia, we know, has risen in priority a lot so far at this tournament. Azir was going to be another one, and they're going to look to ban that one instead. Maokai Sejuani hasn't shown to be a first pick, even though I know they would be good picks for Yike. Instead, the Rumble for Kana, going to make a lot of sense.
Yeah, first picking that one there in the top lane. Kana versus Zeus. This is going to be a really fun matchup, I think.
Yeah.
Zeus is personally my favorite top laner to watch in the world. I think that this guy has had such incredibly high highs. Like, just, he's insane to see. And I really want to see him just like throw down the gauntlet against this Rumble and be ready to scrap with it. HLE though, first and foremost, they're going to pick up the Varus. You know, we might have had the Callista banned away, but Varus, another one of those power picks. Vi locked in for Peanut.
Now, the advantage of being Peanut is that while you can criticize Vi as a champion in success, you can't criticize Peanut.
Okay.
And so whatever champion he plays,
It's immunity.
he tends to make it look good regardless. He's going to be on this champion that he did have a fantastic performance on yesterday in Game 1. I'm expecting HLE to go a little bit more in the dive route. They've decided to move away from this Kai'Sa-Vi combo, but remember that Ambessa is still available as a potential pick, with the Ezreal going to be the safe option for Callista in the bot lane matchup.
Yeah, the Ezreal picked up. I always like to see this against Vi because Vi's whole thing, point and click, take out a carry. Ezreal's ability to arcane shift backwards and instead just drag her into the rest of his team where then she's fully committed to that engage, I think is always a good way to answer it. We know that Callista has the ability to pilot these types of champions very well at the same time, and it looks like the answer for Yike in the jungle will be the Xin Zhao. Now, Vedius, the Yike Xin has not done it for me so far. I feel like his performance yesterday on the more supportive picks, like the Ivern, like the Skarner, was so much more impressive than his day 1 and day 2 Vi's and Xin Zhao's.
The difference is that you need skirmishing power.
Okay.
So against the Vi, against like HLE, you can't just afford to play safe and concede. You have to be willing to meet them where they're going to fight you. So Xin is an important pick in the context of giving KC some early game skirmishing power.
Okay.
So when you think about Rumble plus Xin, that's a tough 2v2, right? Now that doesn't mean that Zeus can't pick a strong top laner that can help support the Vi, but what KC is laying the gauntlet down and saying on the top side of the map, we're ready to skirmish, we're ready to fight you.
Okay, it looks like HLE does not want to deal with any more anti-dive power. They know they're already running in to a Xin Zhao that has the ability to disengage with Crescent Sweep, to a Rumble that can lay down an Equalizer, create a zone of control, Ezreal's ability to shift back. They don't want Braum blocking that as well. The ban from KC, targeting that Ambessa that you already mentioned that was still up, that can be a dangerous combo with the Vi, well, not this time.
Wondering if Poppy, oh no, Karma gonna come through, denying that away from Targamas just to give the Ezreal a powerful 2 versus 2 lane. They want to make sure that Viper and Delight have that winning bot side. KC looking to likely remove something else from the top lane pool, maybe a potential Aatrox. I wonder how worried they are about things like Zeus' Camille as a possibility. I mean, the problem with Zeus is his champion pool is so deep.
There's a lot.
There's a lot, but the good news is that Rumble is a difficult champion to play into, and the Galio, I think, makes a lot of sense, something that we've seen used as an answer into the Rumble, and they're going to deny that.
It also works really well with Vi and Aurora,
100%.
since Vi gives you the thing to immediately ult on top of. Aurora can go between worlds and just create that massive area that it's hard to escape, so really like that ban from KC. But what will the pick be here for Hanwha? I still need to see a support. I still need to see a top laner.
Well, Hanwha Life, I imagine they're going to lock in their top lane pick here. They go for something safe, and there's the Poppy that we talked about. Of course, the beauty of this, still a flex pick.
Yes.
Right now, you're not getting a huge amount of value because there's only really the Xin Zhao that acts as a dash. It does dissuade things like Leona and Rel. Not to say that they can't be played in this matchup, but it does make them a little bit harder playing into a Poppy.
Right, Rel into Poppy is pretty much like Crashdown can never be cast unless Steadfast Presence has already been used. We'll see what they want to go with here. There's a Talia that you mentioned earlier that has risen in popularity, has risen in priority, and is going to be the pick into the Aurora of Zeka.
I did consider Victor. Vladdy's Victor, it's one of his favorite champions. He hasn't had the opportunity to play it, and I thought that with the dive coming in from the Vibe, maybe he'd want that long-range mage, but instead wants that follow-up and setup alongside the Xin Zhao. Now they want to round out with support, and it's just going to be the Leona. So nothing too surprising. I think that it's a perfectly fine matchup into the Poppy that I expect to be played in the support position. It does give KC good setup on the bot side of the map, a potential early game gank opportunity for Yike. Now, what will this top lane pick be for Zeus? I'm excited. We know how deep his champion pool is.
Give me something spicy. Silas. Okay.
Wow, is the Aurora top and the Silas mid?
Ah, okay.
I mean, we don't know yet. Of course, the ability is that you can flex them both. I mean, Zeka is the Silas player, right? His Silas and Akali became world famous very quickly.
They became world famous for the World Finals, for being a world champion at Worlds a couple of years ago. This was just so much of what this guy could do. And whenever I see Silas Vedius, I always immediately look, what kind of ultis do we have? The Leona ult can be so powerful to steal away. The Xin Zhao ult also, those defensive type of ultis for Silas can have so much value in keeping him alive as he dives in. Crescent Sweep can make so much space.
And so it looks like that the Aurora top is going to be the answer. I think it can be a really good matchup for the Aurora just because you have that range. You can get those short burst trades into the Rumble as well. And it just facilitates the follow-up engage that is going to be coming through from the side of Hanwha Life. They've got a lot of skirmishing power. They've got a lot of AoE. They do have that team fight strength. I think their engage is a little bit lacking, but they can compensate for that given the amount of ultimates that can be stolen on the side of the Silas. So KC have got a lot of comfort pick for themselves. I think that game one is going to be a strong indicator because if they can have a strong performance on comfort, they can showcase that Hanwha Life are mortal. And that is the first step when going up against the first seed of the LCK, proving to yourself that this team is beatable, that you can overcome the hump that is one of the best, if not the current best team in the world. And it's going to be an exciting one. What can the European champions do against the Titans of the LCK?
The question on everyone's mind, you talk about proving that they're mortal. Well, HLE have not yet dropped a game here at First Stand. KC coming off a 2-0 smashing of Top Esports, recovering after a rough first couple of days here. The biggest individual performer, I think, in that third series versus the first two, for me was Yike. I thought that in the first two series, he had so many plays that were just head scratchers, so much trouble dealing with their opponents in those two series. And then yesterday, he was all over the map. He was where he needed to be. He was constantly making the difference. And I feel like against a squad like HLE, he's gonna have to be the same guy he was yesterday.
100%, 100%. He's going to be super important in this series. And of course, he is no stranger to the international stage. The last 2 years on G2, while he has seen some positive results. Oh, Zeka, he's going to be spotted out.
Yeah, Zeka, he's been found, but he waits to skill, immediately goes for the abscond to get himself back out of danger.
Ward, and he will get it. Viper, though. Got a bit of damage down.
Yep.
You know, that comment I made earlier about those nameplates, right? It's got to be a crazy feeling where, remember, Kalist, only 18 years old himself.
Second youngest player at the tournament, right?
I mean, he was supposed to join the LEC last year, but the age rules ended up changing, so his arrival was delayed a little bit. But it's one of those things where his age is something that always kind of gets, like, we're getting old now, Flowers.
No, we're not. We're still young. We're only
are.
twice as old almost as he is.
But, like, he wasn't even playing the game when Viper was already at the top of his game. You know what I mean? And now you're in a game against him, and you have to imagine what that feels like, and that's why that first game is so important to kind of get over that mental boundary of who it is that you're playing against.
I mean, when you think about it, League of Legends came out at the end of 2009. That was 16 years ago.
Yeah.
So what is it? Honky was 1 and Kalist was 2. So it's definitely been a long ride. The game's been around for a long time, and we'll see how well Kalist can do into this one as Zeka does get shoved back by Vladdy here in the mid lane. That last rock does not hit the HLE mid laner. And again, going back and kind of talking about Zeka a little bit more, because you did mention, you know, he's famous for this Silas. When you think of Zeka as a player, you think of him on these powerful melee champions like Silas, like Akali, like Yone, and putting him on one of those here in this first game, I think is a very strong move for HLE, as Delight makes his way into the enemy jungle. Yes, he doesn't stop the buff from being taken, but he slows it down and puts a little bit of a road bump there on Yike's tempo. Zeka with a long range of ducked! First blood solo kill over in the mid lane, knocks the rock out of Vladdy's hand.
Wow, catching Vladdy off guard there. The electrocute burst doing wonders for the Silas. And we saw this before from Cream, but just that surprise burst can be so massive for finding advantages in the mid lane. And Hanwha Life, they draw first blood.
Off to the races already for HLE. We were praising the Silas. It might have seemed like we were really going in on how great it is, but there's the immediate payoff for Zeka in the mid lane. Gonna be enjoying that one. Goes back, makes the purchase, gets the extra starter item, plus the boots. He's got refillable. Feeling really good about the state of the lane. As up in the top side, you can see Zayas with control over this wave as well, just utilizing what you were talking about with those powerful trading patterns. But here's another look. Max rangey.
The level 4 was really crucial. That level difference, along with the electrocute proc, giving Zeka the opportunity to find that solo kill. Really nice punish from him. And Vladdy, well, he wanted the experience, and now he's getting a taster.
That is indeed the experience of going up against a world champ, man. Vladdy's gonna have to make sure that this does not bleed over into something more dangerous. As we take a look back down into the bottom lane, Delight back in position now after having roamed to slow down Yike like we were talking about earlier. The 2v2, not gonna go any further, but both supports willing to trade some of that health bar, get nice and scrappy, kind of just test the waters, see what their opponents are feeling here.
Poppy, once you commit to the play, it's very hard for you to disengage. We'll give Kalista a little bit more rain back over the matchup, but right now, that's really the only bright spark when you look across the map. Of course, Zeka getting that solo kill, giving him an early gold lead. Peanut has just been power farming through the jungle. He does have that slight advantage due to the delays that have come through, but also getting the double scuttle crab on the minimap. Getting that solo kill along with the early prio that he had on the bot side of the map allowed him to secure both river crabs, and it's given him that slight gold edge. And meanwhile, on the top side of the map, Zayas leveraging the strength and the range that the Aurora does have to bully out Karna and gain a small lead for himself as well.
I feel like Delight is the jungler's dream for support. You get to have both crabs just because Poppy decided to roam into the enemy jungle, slow down that red buff take. Feels really good for Peanut in that type of situation, as Zeka just says, all right, thank you very much. Orbital laser now locked in with the stolen Leona ulti. Vladdy shoves him back a little bit here. Peanut is gonna clear a ward away, but Targum is supposed to flash follow. Zeka's in danger, and Vladdy gets one back. KC are on the board.
Love the confidence there from Targamas. Even though the ultimate gets stolen away, he just fully commits to the play. And it seemed like Yike wasn't that interested in following. He thought that it would just be a bit of chip damage, but it ended up turning into something much more. And Vladdy, crucially, gets a kill back for himself.
Nicely done from KC. Now they're going to try to transition this into a follow-up grub take. Yike with the smite, ready for the first one, secures at least that, and now starts to back away as Delight is nearby. Viper is also rotated up. Peanut with the smite to secure the first grub for his side, and it looks like Yike is saying, all right, we're not going to fight for this anymore. Backs away from that. Kana and Zeka will pass one another like ships in the night down here towards that bottom side river as the third Void Grub is stolen away. Kalista's managed to grab it, and now KC's got more men. Viper's got to try to get out as he flashes back over the pit, but it's not going to matter. Kana's in hot pursuit. Viper gets knocked the wrong way, but he's still living, and KC get a second kill.
A lot of victories there for KC, as they not only get a kill onto Viper, burning both of his summoner spells, but they also secure 2 out of the 3 grubs. We go back to the play that happened earlier in mid lane, and again, you kind of look at Yike, he was pathing away. He has to move backwards towards the mid lane after the knockback comes through onto Vladdy. Peanut knows that he can't really contribute much in this play, but after Zeka flashes, Targamas with the quick follow-up. I imagine we're immediately going to jump into the next replay.
Yes, sir.
Kalist able to steal away that grub. Viper gets split away from the rest of his team. Kana commits to flash. I don't think Vladdy really needed to flash here, but he really wanted to make sure he got that kill. Kana is the one that picks it up as they secure 2 grubs and force Peanut out. And again, coming into a matchup like this, confidence is key.
Yes, sir.
And it looks to me like KC is playing with nothing but confidence.
Viper maybe playing with a little too much confidence there. It was a really just uncareful path through the mid lane that got him caught. Now, as the chains of corruption from Viper set it up for the slam into the wall from Delight. One more shot from Viper gets it done with a rain of arrows. HLE tie it up 2-2.
Nice punish there from Hanwha. As Targamas, they knew that he had no flash available to him. They had control around the brush, and there was really little jungle support that could turn that fight in their favor. Zeka was even roaming in the bot side river as a potential collapse as well. And this is the scary thing about Hanwha Life. They're not going to rest on their laurels. Okay, fine. They ended up dropping a few kills. They lose a grub, doesn't really matter. The state of the game is still a very even one. And they're going to be looking for opportunities wherever they can. Right now, the Dragon is the focus. Ping has just come down from Hanwha Life to indicate that this is an objective to be considerate of. Zeus getting good pressure on the top side of the map. Zeka's flash still on cooldown for the time being.
Yep, Zeus does have the minion advantage up here in the top lane by about a couple of waves, but it is Kana who is slightly ahead in gold thanks to the kill that he was securing earlier after they caught Viper out of position. HLE still just happy to sit underneath the turret here. They'll catch this wave. Kalista will try to get whatever poke he can, but it does give opportunity for Targamas now to walk a little bit into the enemy jungle, see if there's anything going on here. There still is nothing else on the map besides that Drake to try to contest right now. 90 seconds until the second set of grubs. So if we go that entirety of time without anybody really making a play for the Drake, we might just end up on another handshake objective split.
Something I'm noticing that Targamas definitely has to be careful of is he's roaming a lot, but he's conceding a lot of XP. Notice that Delight about halfway to level 6, and he's going to have that available at the next scrub spawn, but Targamas is still a full level behind, and that ultimate is crucial, especially as people are ticking over to that level 8 mark. Delight going to be sharing XP in the mid lane as well. Targamas now ticking over to level 5, and as the grubs draw closer, both supports making their way towards mid. I imagine Kalista's going to be making his way out of this bot lane soon as well.
Yep. Zeka left down here to deal with him. Low mana here on the Sylas, but not in any danger of anything. You can see, though, a move towards the top lane. Kana gets caught between worlds. Zeus, however, missing a little bit of the follow-up damage, but does tag him with a weirding. A teleport showing up as HLE getting back away. Delight in some danger. Going to get cooked up by Kana as Peanut heads all the way out of town. Ballbreaker ready to charge up, go right back in against him, but Vladdy has arrived here with the Weaver's Wall. Kana still in danger. Flash in, coming out from Zeus. Another TP is about to arrive. Very low HP on Peanut, but the feat of warfare is going to be claimed by HLE as Peanut holds on by 50 HP.
I can't believe Hanwha Life got away with that. They collapsed so quickly as 5 onto the top side of the map. The bad news for Hanwha Life is that they ended up losing the Dragon. Yike, testing the waters here. He's still at a numbers disadvantage, but he's making it harder for Zeka to get back into mid lane. Kalista looking to try and push this wave in. Zeus wisely pushes in the top side of the map to make sure that KC don't really have that many lanes to play through, but they end up getting a kill onto Targamas, and looks like they're going to have to concede at the very least some of the grubs.
All right, first grub secured by KC. Peanut hanging out on the back side of the pit. Second one, Yike should have this one taken care of as well. That's already 4 for the side of KC, and it looks like it's going to be a 5-to-1 grub split for Karmine Corp.
Okay, so grub secured, Dragon secured. They might be a little bit behind in the kill score, but losing Targamas, not the end of the world there. I think the bigger thing is the fact that where the kills are sitting, Zeka and Viper, the ones that have been able to pick those up. The gold advantages they found, nothing too crazy for the time being. But you're seeing the skirmishing strength, and honestly, KC were close, and I think it was wise of them to disengage just because of how quickly Hanwha Life collapsed as 5 on the top side of the map.
Zeka stealing away another Leona ulti. Again, the power of this thing, I'm pretty sure it has a 1.0 AP ratio or something very similar. Zeka with the abscond to get away. Wind becomes lightning, does not hit him. Critically, just the very tip of the spear, not connecting there as Kalista is left to clear out the wave in mid. Still about minutes left to try to farm some plate money for either side, as the gold Vedius really super close 12 minutes in.
Certainly is. I mean, you can see the CS discrepancy in the top lane matchup as,
Zeka jumping in after Vlad. He takes a ton of damage. Has to back away from it, but does force the flash out of the KC mid laner.
Crazy that Zeka can play with that kind of HP just because he knows that Delight has his back. Delight wisely shadowing his laners to help them get the push in so they can go back to base. Meanwhile, Peanut stealing away the Krogs on the bot side of the map. And in terms of the farm, across the board, HLE have those advantages, and it's starting to mount in the gold as well. We look back at this skirmish that happened on the top side of the map. Delight looks like he should have been killed here.
Yeah.
Kana doesn't have the ultimate available, which is crucial because they don't quite have the damage. Peanut going back in, gets the ultimate off, buffers the stun, with that ulti, but then the TP comes through and KC is just saying, you know what, we have to disengage. Vladdy's thinking to himself, maybe I can get that kill, but then the arrival of Viper zones them away and they know that they can't stay any longer.
The list spamming a couple of animations there as Yike finds Delight in his jungle. Poppy can just really walk it off, though. The steadfast presence gives him a ton of speed. Nobody else from KC is around to try to collapse. Delight just being a nuisance constantly in enemy territory, laying down vision, just getting as much information as possible for HLE as Viper steps up. One arrow is all he needs, takes the turret plate, doesn't want anything more. Delight and Peanut both hanging around in the tri-brush here as Yike wanted to check and see. Immediately ejected, though, and Delight flashes forward, ready to slam Vladdy back into the turret. HLE surgically precise with it. Immediately get there, man. That's the punish on the lack of flash from the play earlier.
That was just phenomenal in terms of execution. The way that the Poppy uses the ultimate to knock Yike away, immediately combos that into the stun underneath the tower. They then commit into the kill, and before Peanut can get CC'd underneath the tower, he uses his ultimate to get out. Like, that was
surgical,
crazy.
Man. That was, let's watch it again.
Again, like, the Poppy ult comes through, immediately flash, stun, commit underneath the tower, the chain CC, Vladdy can't move, and then Peanut doesn't get CC'd under the tower. He uses target to get away to safety. That was crazy clean in terms of execution. And just like that, Hanwha Life extend the gold lead to 1.5K.
You know, Vedius, I think the #1 team from the #1 region in the world might be pretty good.
Quite good.
At League of Legends.
One could ascertain, yes.
These guys they mean business, man. They are here to play. HLE, there's your MasterCard lane economy snapshot. They are ahead in 4 out of 5 roles. The only role that does not have a gold advantage right now is Zeus up there in the top lane. Has built up a 3.5 wave advantage for himself in terms of farm. But again, it's that kill for Kana that keeps him slightly ahead.
Delight's been having so much impact in this game. Might not be super obvious, but just the way he's shadowing his lanes, the vision investment to constantly keep track of where Yike is on the map, allowing HLE to have numbers advantage in a lot of these plays. The Dragon going to be started off. Silas still in the top side. He wants to tick over to level 11, which he should be able to get off this wave. There's the level up. Has the TP. Doesn't have the TP available. I stand corrected. I think that HLE are just going to have to concede this one, and instead they'll trade it for that top tower. Not sure exactly how low that tower is, but given that KC have committed their members on the bot side, now they have to set their sights on this bot tower themselves.
Yeah, Zeus and Delight will be assigned to try to defend it, but they are backing away now. It is a 4-man effort from KC moving towards the tier 1. Targamas dropping everything here on Zeus as Yike is ready to jump in immediately here with a crescent sweep. Knocks him back. Beautifully done. KC got one, and they're gonna get the second. They overload the bottom lane, and it's too much for Zeus and Delight to handle. KC walking away with 2 more kills, tying the game up in that regard as Zeka takes the top lane tier 1 turret.
Zeus still had his flash available, but he thought that with his ultimate he'd be able to get out, but the low cooldown of the Q on Targamas meant that he had nowhere to go. Kana going to invest the Rumble ultimate in mid to keep that tower alive as Vladdy was sent top. Peanut, respect flashing, knowing that KC members are resetting back out onto the map. Ultimately, the reason why that play was so good because on the top side, the tower goes down in favor of Zeka, and so KC have to commit to this bot tower. And you'll notice here the chain CC makes it very difficult. Yike wisely holds on to the follow-up before the steadfast presence is gone, and that ulti, because Zeus was stunned up, he didn't have a way to move to the other side, getting him to safety. Doesn't commit the flash. KC get 2 kills, and now the Herald being started off. I think KC are a little too late to contest this play, and I think wisely, because you think about all the time they spent on that last play.
Yeah.
Committing to this would just be a little bit too much.
Yeah, I feel like trying to go to the Rift Herald at this point is just conga lining in there when it's probably already been claimed, so a wise decision. But now Delight finds Yike in the enemy jungle, but Yike is far enough away that he shouldn't be in any serious danger here. Herald claimed. We'll see where HLE wants to spend that as Kalista. Ooh, nice moves from Viper there, sidestepping away from the Mystic shot. Fires back some damage of his own. Kalista get him, all right, you win that one. Just a quick trade of skill shots between the two. Where is the next play to make, Vedius, for KC? Since, honestly, coming into this series, you know that HLE are the big tournament favorites, but KC's been doing a good job so far keeping this game close.
Well, the outer towers become the easy objective to look at. So
Okay.
for Hanwha Life, they set their sights on bot, and already, if you look at the minimap, you'll notice Delight immediately transitioning his vision towards the bot side of the map. First, those initial wards used as entry to some of the bot side jungle entrances to kind of test the waters, gauge what he can, but then what they'll do is they'll use the pressure that they have in mid, translate that pressure into the bot side jungle, and set their sights on this tower. And ideally, what KC would want to be doing is cross-mapping on the top side. The problem is, Hanwha Life have done such a good job of making Vladdy uncomfortable on the top side. Notice he's very afraid to approach that wave. He doesn't have really the support of his team, who's trying to contrast on the bot side of the map, but it becomes these outer towers that these teams kind of set their sights on, and if they can't secure it, then a Herald in the mid lane will do a nice, easy job.
Yeah, this mid lane tier 1 turret low enough. The Herald charge should be enough to just guarantee the death here. Shelly rears back, Shelly goes forward, turret goes down. They won't get anything else from that, but they don't need it. The tier 1 out of the mid lane should open up the map even more for an HLE team that has already been doing a lot of invading of the enemy jungle.
But notice how efficient HLE is on the map. They immediately send Zeus top, push out that top wave. He can now start to rotate down while maintaining some vision control on the top side river. Now, remember what I said, they get that mid prio and they use it to move into the bot side jungle. And this is why Delight was so crucial. He used those wards on the previous base to kind of get access into the entrance. Then KC used their resources to clear, but he's now already replenished. So he now comes back in and he can start to get that deeper vision and set their sights on the bot lane tower. Of course, camps need to be cleared, so Peanut going to concede that pressure for now, but this back and forth is going to keep going. And the problem is that KC isn't really putting pressure anywhere else on the map, so HLE is just gaining a lot of control over the map, especially with the dragon spawning in about a minute's time.
The Dragon in a little over a minute. Otacon is going to rear his ugly head here in a little over 30 seconds. Looks like we'll get a topside Otacon this time around with only 8 kills in the game. I'm going to assume it will be Voracious Otacon, especially since, you know, we've seen a lot more Ruinous recently, though.
Loads more.
But I still think with just 8 kills, it'll probably be
Well, the thing is,
Voracious.
it scales a lot more with damage done as
Oh,
well.
yeah, that's true.
So
that's true.
The thing, right? Kills aren't necessarily the biggest factor. The thing I want to draw attention to is very close to that Mana Mune for Kalista, which is a huge item spike.
Yeah.
The 2 items for Zeka is also massive. He is just dominating in the side lane right now, and he is very difficult for KC to deal with. Like, look at the minimap. Notice how confidently he's just pushing. Also, I think that's a Ruinous Otacon once again.
Okay.
Based on the minimap icon at the very least, because normally Voracious is a little more orange in the tint.
Right, yeah, it's like he's more angry. So, okay, Ruinous Otacon could be the play then. Let's see here if we're going to get a fight for the Drake. Targamas taking a very low amount of damage. Man, Leona with the with the shield plus the Aftershock, just so difficult to put any meaningful hits into. As Kana wants to defend this tier 1 turret here in the bot lane, Zeus would much prefer the opposite outcome. Needs a little bit more damage to fully secure the kill on it, as the Drake is alive. Remember that the first 2 this game have gone KC's way. And now, with Zeka here in the mid lane, the tier 1 turret for HLE will not fall yet, as it looks like everybody is coming to town to scrap for Drake number 3. It'll be Soul Point if KC gets it, and that would be absolutely huge. But HLE wants to stop it. Zeka wants to go over the wall, but he misses the second part of the E. The Dragon's down to 1,300, but it ain't dead yet. Secured by Peanut, and Targamas is down. HLE, they get the objective +1.
I mean, I feel like Delight just has an aimbot on Yike right now, because every time Yike wants to get involved, Delight just says, nope, you're out. Nice ulti onto Yike to prevent him from even getting close to the steal. Peanut testing the waters there.
Ooh, the waters are filled with sharks, my friend, and the sharks have KC logos on their fins. He does not want anything else to do with that one. Immediately has to flash back away to avoid the seismic shove. Zeka will be left down in the bottom lane to keep that push going, as Viper returns to mid to continue to keep the waves from taking the tier 1 turret of HLE. Now some more trouble for KC, as Yike once again, you said it, Vedius, Delight has a bead drawn on this guy, and there's the kill going over to Zeus, as Kana keeps retreating. Zeus tags him with a weirding. Targamas can't get in there with a Zenith Blade, and HLE pick up another kill. They get the first kill on Yike this game, and with the enemy jungler down, Otacon is the target for the first seed from Korea.
You can see how such a small mistake can be colossal in the face of Hanwha Life. They collapse so quickly as 5 on the top side of the map. KC are going to struggle to answer this, as Zeka acts as gatekeeper.
Yeah, Zeka not afraid to jump in, immediately force Kana away. Zeka knows that he has the stolen Crescent Guard as well, makes it so easy to engage in what looks like a 1v1. Then even if it's not a fair fight, boom, press R, Xin Zhao ulti, disengage. It's Otacon secured for the side of HLE.
And now the landscape of the game is very different because that level advantage that Hanwha Life have built thanks to that Otacon is massive. You look across the board and it's just a full level in favor of HLE across the boards. We'll look back at this fight and the idea is that both Targamas and Yike go in together, but Delight, I mean, he just knocks out the jungler and then it's not a fight anymore. It's a nice rumble ultimate onto the backline, but KC really can't follow up on it. The idea being that if Yike is there, it can be good, but then HLE just clearing out vision. Yike, a poor place to back. Kalist now
Kalist not where he wants to be either, and again, another kill over to Zeus. The weirding just blasts him. And that's an Aurora that's now 2 fully completed items on him as well. HLE continuing to snowball the tempo that they've earned for themselves in this game. 3,000 gold lead. Peanut in the enemy jungle, stealing away the red buff. Delight again, securing more and more and more vision. Zeka with a stolen Leona ulti. He's got Viper and Delight both nearby, but the wave is about to fall. And meanwhile, Peanut and Zeus can easily put some pressure onto the tier 2 in mid. They back away as the Weaver's wall is committed by Vladdy to guarantee they don't lose any more just yet.
The map movements are just so smooth. Like watching the minimap of this team, like there's just very few wasted movements. They assign their lanes correctly, they utilize the pressure that they have, and again, look at the minimap here. All 5 members setting their sights on mid lane. They collapse onto Kalist. He has nowhere to go because Delight is covering his flank. It's just, he has no options. He thinks that he's safe, and in Europe, maybe he doesn't get punished for a play like that, but against HLE...
We're not in Europe right now, my friend.
Definitely are not.
I feel like this game, if you're someone who wants to be a better support player, if you want to learn like what this role is supposed to do besides sit in bushes and place wards, this is your masterclass game to watch.
Yeah.
Like, Delight has just done everything right this game.
I mean, he did it throughout pretty much the entire start of the year. Delight hasn't really had a bad game this year. He's just been so consistent, and he's maintained that performance here at the first stand tournament. And now, while it seems that Hanwha Life have taken their foot off the gas pedal, they're sending their sights on the Baron. Ooh, okay. And again, as 4, they control the space. They make it hard for KC to get the vision that they're looking for. KC do push them back a little bit as Kana gets the push in the top side of the map. Zeka going to go and answer that wave. But meanwhile, on the side lanes, Hanwha Life keeping that pressure up as Zeus is pushing in that bot lane.
KC trying to get the mid lane wave pushed up because, Vedius, we are less than 60 seconds away from our next big battle. It will be the 4th Drake of the game. Remember that number 3 was claimed by Hanwha. Meanwhile, it was KC securing the first 2. Delight just takes the Hex Gate to get right on out of that one. No harm, no foul. Zeka continuing to push the wave up in the top side like you were talking about. Wants to create these points of pressure. If they're gonna dance around Baron, or not around Baron, excuse me, dance around the Drake, you wanna make that dance awkward for the side of KC. Make them feel the pressure in the side lanes at the same time. And there's Vladdy immediately committing the Weaver's wall up into the top side to try to save the turret, but it's not going to matter because Zeka has already claimed it. Now back in the bottom side river, Zeus tags Targamas with the weirding. Peanut jumping right back over to where the rest of his team is. Nobody doing anything too crazy just yet. Still 15 seconds until the Drake spawns. Zeka with the abscond duck, jumping in right on top of Vladdy. Hits him with the chains. Vladdy with a flash out. Zeka with a flash in. A little bit more damage required. Stasis from Vladdy ain't gonna do a damn thing. And Zeka puts him in the ground. But the follow-up from KC. Targamas wants to try to stop the recall. At least get something from the HLE mid laner. But Zeka's not gonna stand for that. He wants to stay and fight because he knows the rest of KC is coming to try to stop him. The abscond abduct is not getting him away that time, and Kalist ends up getting the revenge kill. But it took so many resources for KC to make that an even trade that the Drake goes the way of HLE. The bottom lane tier 2 goes the way of HLE. The top lane tier 2 already went their way to start off the entire fight.
The map is just being run by HLE because the idea is that KC want to contest around the Dragon, but they can't because of the side lane pressure that Zeka's putting out. He then knows that in the 1v1, Vladdy can't do anything. He flashes away, but the follow-up flash from Zeka results in the kill, and now KC looking for a bit of a fight.
Yeah, they dive in on top of Peanut, do a ton of damage, but not enough to kill him just yet. He'll finally burn down. There to Kana on the rumble. Viper forced to flash back over the wild now 2 as a slam into the wall. Delight's going in after Yike, but he can't quite find him. HLE losing men left, right, and center. KC, ding, 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 we got a winner. 3 dead bodies in HLE jerseys. KC roared to life in the enemy jungle.
They would love to stop the Baron right now, but it's Zeka and Zeus that are still alive. The TP gonna have to come through from Kano as he quickly goes back to base.
Oh, there goes your Baron attempt. Zeus just walked up and knocks Yike out.
You can see the hesitation because of the HP bars. KC were wary of the positioning of Zeus, but he walks out of the fog of war. But let's look back at this replay. 2 versus 2. KC know they have the numbers advantage because Zeka is dead. They get the collapse onto Peanut and they're able to get the burn down. Yike commits his flash to make sure he can get that kill, turns it onto Viper, who also burns his flash. They almost get that kill onto Yike, but he's able to just buy enough time for the rest of his team to support him, and then Kalist ease over the wall, knowing he can win out on the 1 versus 1, and is able to get that pick.
The fans loving it. KC unafraid in the face of an HLE squad that has been taking over for the past 10 minutes or so. But then, like you said, Betty, the HP bars are low enough that this is scary, and this is why.
Yeah, I mean, Zeus, he's just, yeah, I'll take that one. Great, thanks.
Yep. Easy, just pick it up. But honestly, I'm not gonna blame KC for trying it. It feels like
the Baron was for sure the play.
Like, that is your moment. You go for it. If they can manage to pull that off, then damn, it doesn't work out. But that's what you gotta go for. Kana trying to take his own red buff. Peanut immediately ready to jump in, goes for the ball breaker. I feel like when I watch Zeus play Aurora, the champ just does more damage, Betty.
Yeah, it's funny how that works, isn't it? Meanwhile, you look at the side lane again. Zeka pushing in the top wave. The bot camp's falling in favor of HLE. They know they have the numbers advantage. Kana still does have the TP available, but it's 30 seconds till he's alive.
Oh no, Kalist caught out by Zeus a little bit there. Loses half his HP, but he also returns half of the health bar of Zeus as the cost. The Aurora finding his way all the way out. Yike, Targamas, and Vladdy. KC stepping up. They don't want to allow their opponents to take this for free. Delight misses the ulti. That could be huge. Zeus jumps in. Yike here from the front line. Low health bars on HLE. Into the back line goes Zeka. He wants to kill on a Kalist. He needs a little bit more damage to fight, and he finally got the shutdown. The Ezreal's dead. Leona joins them. HLE got 2, and they aren't done yet. Peanut continuing the chase after Yike. Sinjel does not have a lot of defensive mechanisms to get away from this one. Peanut with the smite to slow him down. And this kill is going to be desynced critically from the rest. Zeka stealing Kana's ultimate, jumping in on top of him. Kana with the stasis manages to outplay.
KC still crumble in the fight, and Zeka is such a problem. The way in which he accesses the backline is something that KC cannot deal with. Just keep your eyes on Zeka in this play. So initially, Yike sidesteps the ultimate from Delight. Delight's falling short. Zeus does commit the ultimate, but then Zeka uses the ulti to get onto the backline. 2 versus 1. He forces Kalist out, gets the kill onto him. Vladdy gets chunked by Viper. And in this numbers discrepancy, HLE easily convert the fight in their favor.
And Zeka, you can tell he's ready to really test his limits here.
He is.
Low health, no mana, jumps in and nearly gets the kill, but Kana's got the damage to guarantee that he comes out on top in that 1-for-1, or in that 1v1, excuse me. That is the only kill that KC end up getting in the fight, so honestly really needed to mitigate that from being an otherwise massive disaster. Total damage on the left side of the screen, you can see it's the 80 carries at the very tip top. As Zeka going in for the TP, but now an engage. Zeus could be in some danger here, but no, immediately just ducking away from it, as now Targamas will take some return pain. Viper and Peanut both stepping up. Zeka ready to join them. KC grouping up to make their exit so nobody gets caught.
That bot wave is a bit awkward for KC. They have TP available on Vladdy. He needs to go and answer that quickly. Hanwha Life know they have that pressure, so they can get control over the mid wave. They're even going to secure the Dragon while they're at it. This won't be Soul, as both teams are 2-2 apiece. Targamas has already lost half his...
Oh, and the stolen Leona ulti to stun him back up. Now Kalist has to flash over the wall to try to stay safe as Zeus is zoning everybody away yet again. KC, health bars rocked, backing away. That was a 4-man play from HLE because Peanut was taking the Dragon like you were saying the entire time. That is now sole point for HLE.
I mean, look at the farm on Peanut, by the way. He is super efficient, and he has been non-stop stealing camps away from Yike throughout this game. Level 17, Zeka.
Zeka in some trouble now. He is level 17. He steals the Xin Zhao ulti to try to make the fight more manageable. Gives him enough effective HP to survive. Now Zeus jumping in with Between Worlds. Immediately kills Kalist. Right back on top of the other side for kill number 2. Peanuts keeping everybody else locked down. And KC scatter. There is no way to stop the HLE war machine now. They pick up the kills on the 80 carry and jungler both. And Baron is next on the menu.
It's crazy how quickly HLE collapse. Every single time a member of their team is in danger, they're either getting something else on the map or they are there to support them. 5-man unit, keeping their mid laner alive, will win the fight, will win the Baron, and they're looking to win game 1. Zeka feels like he's like, look at the positioning of them. They're sitting in mid lane, but he steals away the ultimate from Yike. He uses it to buy a lot of time. The TP comes through from Zeus. He then initiates the fight. Meanwhile, Delight and Viper arrive. They're their Twistist on one side, while Peanut alone keeps 2 members isolated. Viper's ultimate is dodged away from Vladdy, but at this point, the damage is already done. 2 members fall, Targamas flashes away, and the Baron is locked in.
Man, this is what I was talking about back in draft. When you draft the Sylas, you love to see a defensive option on enemy ultimates. And yes, Alistar is the S++ tier 1, but the Xin Zhao ulti right there critically making the difference for Zeka, surviving long enough for the rest of the team to show up and reinforce him as Zeus and Peanut, Delight 2, all in the enemy red side jungle now. Viper left to push up the bot lane wave, mid lane wave being addressed by the Sylas.
It's, I mean, I was going to say the good news for KC is that the game had become very scrappy, but now that they have the Baron, it feels like it's a matter of time. Viper has so much poke available. And Zeus, good ulti.
Yeah, finds Yike, they chunk him out by half. Also, Yike with the Edge of Night makes it so hard. Viper with the Edge of Night, so hard to engage on this guy.
I mean, Kalist does do a lot of damage, but I feel like that Viper just does more.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, man. It is an 8,000 gold lead now for HLE. Zeus goes between worlds. Vladdy's gonna get caught. Weirding isn't enough to kill him, but he's forced to go gold, and Peanut ready to jump back in with a ball breaker. Mistimes it, but it don't matter. Zeus unstoppable as HLE take the first inhibitor in the bottom lane. Now they'll put their attention in mid, looking for the second. Another Chains of Corruption flies out, does not connect. KC scrambling to defend 4 versus 5. Vladdy's still dead for another 40 seconds. KC making their entry, trying to stop this, trying to hold HLE off. Peanut's burning low, but Zeus has already grabbed another kill. It'll be a 1-for-1 at least, as Kana and Kalist need more firepower. Yike buying a little bit of time here on the front line as Delight jumps in and trades his life for Yike. Vladdy's still got 20 seconds left before he respawns, and Zeus grabs a double kill. Kalist falls, and that'll do it. HLE take game 1.
I mean, it was a bit scrappy. There were a lot of skirmishes, but ultimately, Hanwha Life show their dominance. An impressive display from the first seed of LCK.